Hi everyone, welcome back to the garden. My name is Jasmine. Uh, February kind of flew by kind of fast, so here we are doing a February garden tour already. Not much has changed. We had a lot of rain this month, and the temperatures are relatively cold, so I don't feel like my garden had enough warm, sunny days for it to really produce anything. I really thought I'd have ranunculus by now, but I think it's gonna start happening soon, and I'll show you why in a little bit. So let's go around the garden and I'll show you what's changed from last month to this month. All right, starting off where we kind of left off last month, the net is still on our center garden box, but it's going to come off this week. Well, like pretty much like the rain has done this box a very good if you can see, like some of the plants are like just bursting at the seams, and there is a lot of growth in here. So this net is going to be coming off, and what I'm going to be doing instead is installing a horizontal netting that goes across so that I could give my flowers some vertical support. So what does that mean? It's going to go through a net so that the net is going to like hold up the stems, so that I'm going to have long, straight, very sturdy stems, and they won't like snap in the wind or the rain or anything. Okay, so what I was talking about with our ranunculus, let's go under the net and I'll show you. All right, if you see here, okay, so most of the ranunculus leaves look like this, where the stem is like kind of skinny, but if you look a little bit closer, this one is like significantly bigger than the rest. So I'm thinking that my plants are going to start flowering pretty soon, and it just needs a little bit more time. So I think it's relatively on track for our time of year, where like I think in Carlsbad with the flower fields where they grow the same variety and in the same climate as we do, theirs doesn't start flowering until about mid-March. So I'm thinking I'm like on track. What else is growing in this little square planter right now is this is our black night scabiosa. So this is also about to start flowering. If you can see like the stem, it's supposed to kind of look a little squatty, like kind of this one where it's like a little short. Do you see this back one? It's starting to grow taller. That means it's probably going to start sending out flowers pretty soon. So I'm excited for that one. Back here we have a good collection of our snapdragons. Snapdragons, it looks pretty good right now, except I'm gonna have to go in and pinch it. And what does pinching mean? I'm gonna cut off this top section of it to encourage it to bush out. Instead of having one really tall plant, I want a plant that has a bunch of like side branches so that it can make more flowers. So like the snapdragons are looking pretty good. I do have to address a little bit of things over here where like the ranunculus leaves are kind of like taking over. So those two are snapdragons, and they're kind of getting overcrowded. So I think what I'm going to do is build a little fence to kind of corral the leaves of the ranunculus, and hopefully that gives it a little bit more sun and more air kind of to grow. Back here, let me take you to the other side. Give me a second. Okay, we are on the other side. We were over there for a hot second. Okay, so is another side of all of our snapdragons. They're growing pretty good. What's interesting about snapdragons is if you look under the leaves, you can kind of tell like what color they're going to be. I think this one might be a pink one. Like this one might either be a white or a yellow. The undersides of the leaves kind of gives us an indication of what color they'll be. Like this, I know for sure is an Appleblossom, which is like a white and pink kind of color. This is supposed to be like a bronzy kind of color. So there's a little bit of a bronze underneath the leaves. So it gives us a little bit of an indication on what color we're going to get. And okay, so what I was coming over to show you is this is my Statice. So Statice, I planted it way too close. I didn't realize like how big and robust it was going to be, because the Statice I bought at a garden center last season, like it didn't look like this, and so this is aggressive. It looks like a salad. And what I should have done is instead of doing 5 plants in a 1 square foot area, I should have done like 3. So I'm really pushing like how much is in this little teeny tiny space. It's quite aggressive. What I came over here to show you is this is the beginnings of a status flower. So I think this one over here is pastel blue. So this is kind of like that light blue color that's really hard to find in the flower world. And this status in particular dries really nicely, and it dries true to color. So, if I don't use it fresh, I can actually hang dry it and use it for dry bouquets. So that's the insane amount of ranunculus leaves that I'm still trying to protect from Bankai and Ichigo. I'm hoping if I take this green netting off of the planter that they won't instantly try to start trying to lay in here and then squish all the leaves. Our onion is doing living a very happy life over here. Okay, we're gonna go down this side of our yard. If anybody's wondering, that right there is my worm compost bin. I have a colony of red worms that compost all of our kitchen scraps and things, so I just feed it like once a week of whatever I'm using. Everything except for like orange or citrusy type things can go in there, and they just break it all down, and I use the worm castings throughout the garden when I have enough. But that's kind of its little home. All right, moving on to our little side 1 foot planter right here. This is the section that we were talking about last month where I am trying to overwinter things. As you can see, the yarrow is doing really, really good. Like it looks very healthy, refreshed. It doesn't look dead at all. I gave it a haircut to kind of like take out all like the little spindly branches, but it's looking really, really good. I'm hoping this will kind of produce me better stems than last season. Last season, I got like a couple stems, but this was supposed to be like way more robust. So I'm hoping like by overwintering it, giving it a lot of time to like grow roots and like become a bigger plant, that it's going to produce a lot more stems this season. All right, and this was our problematic plant last month. Our Feverfew, I cut it down quite a bit. I think I figured out like why I kind of went wrong last month is when you're overwintering things, you're supposed to like really like cut it back. And I didn't really like cut it back far enough. I kind of just like left it green, like going because it looked green. So I was like, why would I cut it if it's still green? And then it started to like, start yellowing, and that's not good. So I cut it back quite a bit. And like what you're supposed to do is like cut it like that's the big top of the stem, and cut it back, and then like it starts flushing out from the bottom, and then that's when you're supposed to have like more robust growth because the roots down below are pushing up fresher, greener growth. So that's kind of like looking a lot better. Okay. All right, let's talk about the bachelor buttons. I don't think I'm successful. The few bachelor button seedlings, so like this right here is a bachelor button seedling. The rest of it, I think it's that plant that just like reseeded itself like everywhere. So it's kind of like giving me like, so it's kind of like fooling me into thinking that these are all like bachelor button seedlings, but I think they're all like feverfew, and that's like something that happens when you're overwintering a plant, that it just kind of like sows its own seed back into the ground, hoping to reproduce itself. So there's like a bunch of little seedlings that keep popping up, and I think it's like something else, but it's not. And how I can kind of tell is the shape of the leaves kind of looks like that. Where like, here, let me find you an example. Okay, so here's an example where like the kind of roughly of the leaf doesn't look like a bachelor button leaf. Instead, it looks like a feverfew leaf. So it makes me think that that's not a bachelor button seedling that is actually just more feverfew, which is not bad. Like I want more feverfew, so like that's kind of good to have, but I don't necessarily want that much feverfew. I might actually take this out because this section is actually going to be dahlias for me, and I'm about to start dahlias like indoors to start pre-sprouting it for the warmer season. So this might actually not make it to the end of the season. I might actually just take it out. It was just extra seedlings that I just put in, so it's not bad. Okay, let's talk about the sad part of our garden. In the rain, we lost two plants back there. Um, those were afternoon white cosmos that just did not make it, and they just like I don't know if they like got too much water or what, but it just was not doing well. Our afternoon, no, this is snow puff. Snow puff started to bloom, which it's it looks very nice, but if you look closely, you're gonna see that it's getting attacked by aphids, um, and it's also not supposed to be like 14 inches. It's supposed to actually be like 36 inches off the ground. So the fact that it's only like 14 inches means it's kind of like a weak plant. And like I started these plants really early, thinking that I'm gonna follow like the cool flower method where, you know, I can plant them early in the fall and then like give them the whole winter to grow, and then by the time springtime comes around, they'll kind of just like shoot up really fast because they had like all winter to grow roots. I don't necessarily think that worked in California. It's a little bit too mild of climate, so I think it just kind of thought that we were just early spring all the time, and therefore like it just didn't get enough warmth and heat and sunny days for it to actually grow to its full potential. And it's just kind of like not big enough. It's the same story with this Rubenza. These flowers are supposed to be like pretty big. Like they're supposed to be like 3.5 inches across, and this is probably only about like 1.5. Again, like this plant is also supposed to be about like 36 inches tall, and it's not. So what I'm gonna do is just take these plants out, and I actually have another set. uh, okay, I think I spoke too soon. I have left the net open for like 2 seconds, and already there is a kitty cat in the garden squishing all of the leaves. Ah, Bankai. All right, like let me put you guys down for a hot second and let me get the cat out of the garden. And the aftermath of a cat size hole in the garden. I think we're gonna be okay. It looks a little more sad than it really is right now. I think it'll bounce back once I give it a good water. I just what I thought I could, you know, take this netting off for the next month. I don't think it's gonna happen. Not after that. I literally only had the net open for like 2 minutes, and already they're in there. So, oh, here comes another one. Hey, you need to come out. No kitty cats. So, as much as we love our pets, obviously they don't understand what's really important to us. So they just want to find a, comfy, cool little spot for them to hang out. And luckily for me, that means the middle of my garden. So, not like a bunch of damage done. Some squished leaves, but I think they'll bounce back. Like nothing was like snapped. Okay, moving on with our garden tour. Okay, we're gonna have to keep an eye on the cats. Okay, so like I was saying, the cosmos are going to come out. I have another batch of seedlings that I'm going to show you at the end that is going to go in its place. So we are sad that they didn't come to full fruition, but I think we're okay because now we know that I don't actually have to grow them in the fall, I can actually just plant them in the spring, and that's good enough. And because they're not going to do what the cool flower gardeners people do anyways. Um, have you come to apologize? Hmm? Have you come to apologize for squishing my flowers? No? No regrets? Okay. All right. So here is our spinach. If you see here, our spinach is taking on a little bit of slug damage. Um, which is kind of natural. I don't have any like slug repellent type things in this garden bed. If you look at this garden bed over here, there is a copper tape that I've installed on this bed. So it kind of like prevents slugs from like going up and into the garden. Over on this side, I actually don't have that. So I have more like copper tape. I'm gonna see if I have time to like put it up, but it's not a super big deal because they're eating maybe one leaf. I have a ton of spinach left over, so it's not detrimental to the garden if I sacrifice a couple leaves to the snails and the slugs. So back here we have Strawflower. That kind of like um, did a very great job of starting off kind of small and then just kind of like going ham during this last month. It probably like quadrupled in size. So I'm excited for that. This big section right here is our Persian cress, not for eating. This is actually going to be used for flower greenery, and I am very hopeful that it's going to start making stems soon, because if you see here, it's starting to like grow upwards, and this is a new to me plant this season, and I'm excited to see what it looks like. Our lettuce is going out of control. That's probably the size of a hand. I have 4 heads in here. We harvested 2 for dinner, and they're going. So it's not like I don't have to go to the grocery store for lettuce anytime soon. All right, here is our jalapeno. It's still going. I gave it a good trim. And this right here is we are prepping for bee balm. I'm going to be putting bee balm in there, another filler for the bouquets. Okay, some other things that I didn't get to show last month is I have a tiny strawberry patch. This is our Seascape strawberries, are really, really good. And then 2 different varieties of blueberries. If you've never grown blueberries before, they are deciduous bushes, which means during the winter they lose all their leaves and then they start pushing out these flowers, kind of like peaches. And then once those all get pollinated, more leaves come out. And so I'm hoping for better tasting blueberries this season. I don't think I did enough acid fertilizers last season, so they were a little sour. So I'm hoping this season I'm going to be really better about fertilizing and giving it what it wants, and then therefore maybe producing better blueberries. Okay, and since I grow in Southern California where space is very limited because cost of housing is very high, I have a makeshift greenhouse that I built out of a storage tote. Here are some of the seedlings that we planted last video. So, this was the Statice and the Cress that we started. These are the Cosmos that I talked about about replacing the ones that are in the garden. Another set of lettuce. These are our Lysianthus that I think they're ready to go out. If you're seeing this a little like yellowing, I don't know. I don't know if it's from a lack of nutrients and therefore I need to like fertilize it more, or if this is like early sign of like Wilsarian wilt. So I don't know. I might just put it into the garden just to see if it bounced back. But like the ones that are green are for sure going to go in the garden. I'm just not sure if I'm going to put these ones in the garden. I show a lot of like plant success. But little do people know that I had 150 of these seeds. Of those 150 seeds, I have probably 1, 2, 3 good ones. So gardening is not always what it seems on the internet and on social media. So like I may post a lot of beautiful flowers, but what you don't see is actually 150 seeds that never showed up, or plants that was very good and then they turned into that, or that and then they eventually die. And so it's very misleading to think that, just because I show beautiful flowers does not mean that I don't actually kill a bunch of flowers. So this 150 seeds, and here we are with maybe 3 good ones. Um, so this is Nigella that's also going to go into the garden. This is the bee balm that's going to go into that small planter, and another set of Scabiosa. So like I like this setup because it's very space saving, and it also gives me a greenhouse effect without having to actually purchase a greenhouse. So we love this set. Um, highly recommend. Okay, last but not least, I'm going to take you to the front yard to show you all that is growing there. All right, our front steps here. Okay, we are looking very good. Here is a picture of beautiful jasmine bush that is shared between our neighbor and us. Okay, let's show you the first really exciting thing is these frizzle sizzle pansies. Like, just look at them. Like, the color on these. Like, you just don't see this at the garden center. And they're just really robust. Okay, what I don't like is this plant. I don't even know what it's called. But this came in a planter that I got on clearance last season, and I just don't love it. It it almost looks like a cactus to me, and it's not the vibe. So I don't love it. So I think at the end of the season, I'm going to take it out and either give it away or plant it somewhere else. And what I'm going to put in the middle of this instead is going to be this hellebore. So hellebore is a very interesting plant that has downward facing flowers. But although I think this hellebore is a champion variety, and it might actually face upwards. So hopefully by next month, I'm going to be able to show you what they look like. But they're starting to bud up, and there's quite a few buds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like 8 in there. So I'm really excited for this. So at the end of the flowering season for this hellebore, I'm gonna take this guy out and put that in the middle of this. Because I just like this hellebore look way more than this. I just don't love it. Back here is our Rudbeckia, and they're doing pretty good. It took on a little bit of it's either budworms or slug damage, but it's looking to bounce back a little bit. So it's doing pretty good. And here is our daffodils. So I had daffodils in these pots, and then I plant one lonely snapdragon in there, and whatever else left over from our uh, ranunculus. So they're growing faster than I think the ones that are in the back garden, just because there's more sun here in the morning and more consistent lighting. Back here, that's more daffodils, our mandevilla vine, and then okay, so back here is our um, sweet peas, and I don't know. They kind of look like they're getting a little bit of pest damage, but they should be more robust than this. And I don't know if I need to just like fertilize it more, because it's supposed to grow up this whole thing. And it looks very short right now, and I can't tell if it's not getting enough light because this like iris is blocking its way. This iris was here before we moved in, so I'm not sure if I can actually dig it up and move it somewhere else. So I've left it for now. But I really want these sweet peas, so I don't know. I might just cut this back a little bit so that the sweet peas can get a little bit more light. All right, and that's it for the February garden tour. I, you know, Hope you had a very adventurous time chasing kitties out of my garden with me. Please like and subscribe, and it really helps me, encourages me to keep doing things like this when people actually watch the videos and subscribe to my channel. So thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you next month. And I hope to be able to show you flowers in March. Thanks. Okay, I need the flowers. Stop sitting in the garden.